What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to Force Strategy Gaming. It is time for some StarCraft 2 commentary today. Today we're going to be taking a look at a match between Nerchio and Grubby. We are here on Metalopolis. You can see down here in the 6 o'clock position, we do have Grubby as the green Protoss player, and then up here in the 12 o'clock is Nerchio as our pink Zerg player. So yes, Protoss versus Zerg, Grubby versus Nerchio here on Metalopolis. This is just going to be a single game for you today. I believe tomorrow we're going to be getting back in the swing of things, getting some pretty hefty amounts of StarCraft 2 out. So look forward to that if you have been waiting for some more StarCraft 2 content. I believe we're also going to be starting to re-up the demo up series that I started a few weeks back and kind of took a little bit of a hiatus, but we should be getting back onto that. There are a few new demos out on the market that we're going to be taking a look at there, and then of course some Diablo 3 content as well. Alright, starting things out in this game here, we do have Grubby going with the pylon there inside of the main base, so he's not going for any kind of Forge Fast Expand build. Not the most popular tactic on this map, just because there's such a wide open area to try to protect. You do see it every now and then, but again, it's nothing that you see every game. We have Nerchio right now, still hasn't gone out with a pool or hatch. He is, of course, now at 14 supply. It's around 15 that we're going to expect to see one or the other, and given the fact that Grubby is scouting him out right now, it looks like, yes, pool first is going to be taking place. Nerchio spotted that probe coming with the Overlord that is making his way across over in this direction, and then immediately dropped that pool after, deciding, hey, you know what, I'm gonna have to go pool first because I am getting scouted out, and any kind of harass, pylon harass, probe harass, anything like that can really mess up any quick expansion. So that's why we're gonna see that pool first there. And back over here inside of the main base for Grubby, gateway coming through. Got that second pylon coming out there. There's that assimilator right now as well. Going to see that Overlord there for Nerchio actually repositioning himself and heading on down over in this direction. And then we'll be chilling out back there to see when we actually see Grubby move into his third. That Overlord's going to be able to scout him out when that eventually does take place. We do have now finally, though, Nerchio scouting out the main base there of Grubby, so he's getting that full scout right now, seeing everything, and everything's looking pretty standard right now. He doesn't want to take a look at that gas timing, as he can actually try to steal the gas right now, just sitting there momentarily, hasn't actually gone through with it, and actually, there we go, decided not to bother to steal the gas, and instead pulling out with the drone, trying to save him right now. Does have a little while until it's actually going to be necessary to actually go ahead and oh, he actually did an extractor trick there, getting himself a few more extra Zerglings early on. Very, very interesting. I was just going to say it's a little while until it's necessary to leave with that drone. The Zealot's not that huge threat. It's really not until that stalk comes out. Look at those Zerglings fanning out across the map right now, checking absolutely everywhere for any hidden secondary scouts, any looking for any proxy pylons, anything like that. You can see those Zerglings just absolutely taking map control right now in this early stage of the game. Grubby is now finally chrono boosting out that first stalker. I do expect him to actually move out with that, try to do a little bit of damage, and that Zergling is going to be forced back right now and just actually sitting right there. Gonna take a shot from the Zealot, but then finally pull back, and there we go. At last, pulling back. He's actually moving up though. He wants to check, and he spots the stalker. Now, why is that important? Well, it's not the most important thing, but he did want to see if Grubby was going for the sentry first, because if you saw sentry first, a lot of times when you see something like that, you automatically expect a quick expand. Usually what we'll see is a sentry heavy fast expand. If we're going to be seeing a Protoss player fast expand, it will be including sentry heavy. Now, it does look like we will be seeing a 1-gate expand from Grubby, and you can see that first sentry is out and second sentry is on the way as well. And actually, Zerglings continue to move across the map right now. We do have that first stalker as well as Zealot heading towards Nerchio's main base, and actually we'll be able to do a little bit of damage. We have 6 Zerglings about to come out in an attempted spine crawler, though I don't think that will finish at all. And gonna be taking out some workers right now. One already down. There's a second down. And this is actually a little bit of a problem right now. Nerchio needs to prevent this from doing too much damage. Zerglings in hot pursuit of that Stalker will be enough to actually force that back right now. That Stalker stops. He's a dead man. Zealot's going to be moving in, trying to get some scouting and possibly try to get a few more worker kills. Looks like he will be getting a couple more of those. There we go right now, sitting at a total of 4 kills. So getting 4 kills all in all. And still that Stalker being chased right now by those Zerglings. A few Zerglings over here did scout out this expansion, but wasn't able to do much damage. Actually trying to get a sandwich right now on that Stalker. Very close, but the Stalker unbelievably manages to make it back home. So let's take a look right now at the resources lost. Looks like Nerchio is behind. I also want to see how many workers killed. Grubby managed to kill off a total of 3 workers all in all in that harass there. Now all he really lost was that Zealot, because as we saw, that Stalker managed to make it safely back home unbelievably. Transfer workers going down right now for Grubby, also transitioning into Stargate play. He does have 2 more gateways coming up right there to formulate that frontal wall, and a simulator being placed over there. And there we go, lots of actually Zerglings right now, and they are Speedlings at the moment, and we'll be moving in, trying to do a little bit of damage. Some nice force field wall preventing them all from moving in, but there we go, sneaking up the backside right now. Managed to take out 1 sentry. Is he gonna be able to get any more? Doing what he can to get us around. We have Grubby turning to engage with those workers. 2 Zerglings make it up in the main, and this is perfect right now for Nerchio, because he scouts out that Stargate. So now he knows it's coming, and I expect to see a few more queens in response to deal with the likely units that will be coming out of that Stargate to do much damage besides that. There we go, another Zergling moving up and fully aware of that Stargate. Where is the response? So that's the question. Now he did move in and spot the fact that there was nothing producing out of the Stargate. So at the moment he realizes, hey, not too much to worry about. And actually immediately, instead of going straight for those additional queens, we see that evolution chamber coming out. That, of course, allows those spore crawlers to get placed down, and maybe he'll just be relying on that early on. Even just 1 more queen would really be nice. We actually have Nerchio as well moving into his 3rd expansion, given the fact that Grubby is on that quick expand, going with that 1-gate expand into 2-gate and Stargate. So there we go, that first Void Ray right now getting chrono boosted out, and how will he be able to defend it? We do have a 3rd queen coming out. Now that will be primarily just to get that 3rd expansion, to get those inject larvae on that 3rd expansion. I do want to see at least 1 more queen to deal with that air harass. I mean, he knows it's coming, and there we go already. Nerchio will be losing that Overlord. This Overlord's actually in a very risky position. He's heading clear across the map. Just a couple stalkers would be enough to take that out. We do have some overcompensation going on right now. A couple Overlords coming out. There are the spore crawlers as expected, and how's the placement there? That's a very nice spot right there. Nothing at the natural right now. He does have something defending that 3rd, but no spore crawler at the natural at the moment. And here comes that first Void Ray, 2nd Void Ray right now popping as well. And how will he be able to defend that again? He is just on those 3 queens. He's got no extra and just relying on those spore crawlers. So the spore crawlers and the queens are all he's going to be relying on, and that 1 Void Ray really not standing a chance. The real big concern though that I'm having is once he's got 2 or 3 of those out, then they won't have any issue taking out those spores, then the queen, and then just starting to work on the rest of the units. But I guess ideally Nerchio was hoping that by the time that amount of Void Rays gets out, he has his next answer prepared. I'm assuming that's what it is. And actually, oh, we saw a Roach Warren coming, but he decided to cancel that. It was actually a 2nd Roach Warren. He was building a 2nd one, and then he realized, I don't need 2 of those. So he decided to go ahead and cancel that. I do want to see, of course, a infestation pit once the layer does finish. That layer's just about popped, so hopefully we see some infestors, possibly even going straight for that Hydra Den. Right now, 3 Void Rays in play, and then the follow-up's going to be with some Phoenixes, some level 1 upgrades. We've got a lot of Speedlings for Nerchio. He hasn't moved out for any follow-up harass. Very nice wall-off action going on here for Grubby, and Grubby actually moving his way over there. Now we got those Speedlings. Get ready to move across the map. Couple queens moving down to engage those Void Rays. However, 3 is going to start to be a little bit scary. Lots of roaches coming out right now. No infestation pit. And no Hydra Den as well. Where's that anti-air right now from Nerchio? Nerchio, we need some anti-air. Speedlings will be moving out and trying to prevent this expansion from getting up right now. He's actually moving to get us around on the small amount of ground. It's nice force fields placing them, prevent them from doing too much damage. 1 Void Ray gets dropped already from those mass amounts of queens. I'm assuming we saw a transfuse in there because those queens don't even look injured at all. Speedlings are forced to push back right now. Void Rays pushed back just from those queens, and a misrallied Phoenix right there taking a bit of damage. Grubby, very unfortunate there, and there we go, another Spore Crawler coming out. So the only anti-air right now are those Queens and Spore Crawlers, and he is comfortable with that. And as we saw, those Void Rays were pushed back, but I think now that some Phoenixes are in play, that's going to allow him to lift up those Queens, and let's see what Grubby's going to be able to do right now. Moving forward with those Void Rays, not lifting up the Queens yet, deciding that's not the best position with that Spore Crawler action that's going on there. But I'm really surprised that he didn't even go for the Infestation Pit. Really shocked, in all honesty, that there's no Infestors coming out. I really would have assumed that that would have been the transition. Here we go, actually moving forward with those Queens right now, trying to do what he can for damage, pulling back the low one, and actually there's a Graviton Beam from Grubby, allowing him to take out that Queen, no problem. 1 Queen gets dropped, still the 2 Void Rays, and all those Phoenixes in play. 2nd Queen, looks like he's going to get taken out right now. There are enough Phoenixes here for Grubby to deal with this, take a little bit of that Spore damage, and not really too worried about that. 2 Void Rays finally pushed back, but still not a lot of anti-air. In fact, Nerchio, instead of dealing with this, he's deciding to go straight up for a counterattack, and we do have 1 Colossus in play, plus that nice wall off, but is Nerchio going to be able to break this? It's going to be a tough call right now. These units actually just moving in tandem, those Roaches and those Void Rays trying to move up onto that third force field wall, preventing those Roaches on the low ground from getting up, and the Colossus moves forward to engage. Roaches moving out to try to snipe him out, getting very close, but unfortunately blocked from that wall off right there, not able to work all the way in. Roaches instead trying to push against that third, not able to get all the way up because of that force field wall. The Void Rays pulling back to try to help with the defense right now. Colossus in the back trying to regenerate some of his health. Roaches again doing what they can. We've got that Spire coming out right now for Nerchio. So Nerchio is finally starting to get up some of that anti-air. He's pushed back right now. Those Roaches not able to do much. And as you can see, Nerchio deciding, you know what, instead of just trying to invest so much into my defense, he decided to build up an offensive force and push out with that. And actually right now moving into his high yield expansion. So feeling very comfortable. What do we got right now? Just those 2 Void Rays plus those 4 Phoenixes. It does look like Grubby is finally working his way into that strong ground force, trying to get up his Colossus numbers. He's working out that Thermal Lance as well, and then trying to get up a couple of his gateway units. We can see a few more gateways getting warped in over there so that he can have those additional warp ins available. And Nerchio will be losing this expansion. He literally has no mobile anti-air right now. He's got those Queens, but they're not the quickest off of that creep. And he will be losing this as a result. Now, we do have a 4th expansion also coming down over here. So even though he lost that high yield, not the biggest of deals, misrallied Overlord, that gets taken out. We've got those Roach forces actually pushing out, checking for that third, but then we'll be moving into this expansion. However, it looks like with that gateway wall off, providing a kind of a buffer for those cannons, Grubby should certainly be okay. I don't think those Roaches are really going to be able to push in and do any damage. And look at that. Grubby spotting this expansion as well, will be taking it out. And at the exact same time, Nerchio over here moving back to the high yield. Now, will he just cancel this? I hope Nerchio does manage to do that. There we go. Canceling that before it actually gets taken out. And here come the Corruptors right now. Nerchio, Corruptor Heavy is actually going to be very strong. Clearly will do very well against those Phoenixes and Void Rays, but the other big thing is that those Corruptors will do a fantastic job against those Colossus, allowing his Roaches and Speedlings to take care of the rest of those ground forces. So when we will see these into play, look at how many does he got right now? Total of 12 Corruptors that will have no problem quickly sniping down these Void Rays. Watch these things get taken out. A little bit of micro getting up nice and close there. Phoenix is running scared right now, pushing all the way back. So Nerchio does manage to get up this expansion. We also have Grubby attempting to move up there. Huge Roach numbers coming out. Let's take a look at the upgrades right now. Nerchio actually sitting 0-0, unbelievably. I really thought they would have had something else. We've got 0-1 over here for Grubby. Grubby also just about to finish his armor. Oh, I'm sorry. Grubby just about to finish his armor upgrade. We also got that armor upgrade for those ground units coming out for Nerchio. Nerchio is starting to mobilize right now, making his way across the map. I don't think he knows about it yet. And then there we go, finally spotting that high yield expansion. We'll be pushing forward. We'll be using those Corruptors. Finally pulling back right now, realizing there's too many Stalkers. Wants to wait until those Roaches actually push up to engage with that. Bunch of Roaches over here. They're all going to be rallying up right in this position, getting ready to push out against Grubby's expansion. How is Grubby going to be able to defend? That's a question. Lots of Colossus back here trying to stay in the back to make sure they don't get sniped out by those Corruptors right away. And we've got a Roach heavy push plus the Corruptors moving forward right now for Nerchio. And this is going to be a big engagement right now. Let's see if Nerchio is able to do much damage at all. Force field wall preventing those Roaches from pushing in close enough to those Stalkers. And that's a big problem, certainly, for those Roaches. The Roaches want to wait till that force field wall dissipates and then try to push in while those sentries are at low energy. The high yield is up and running right now for Nerchio. Nerchio managed to snipe a pylon on the high ground there, attempting to push in right now. Those sentries, even with low energy, they do have enough to keep up those force fields. Look at that one pylon as well, providing a basically resembling a wall right here. Plus, he only needs 2 force fields now to get kind of that wall off in that direction. That's what I was trying to say. It certainly was quite hard for me to spit that one out, evidently. We've got Hive Tech coming out right now as well for Nerchio. So Nerchio, once that is up, will be working his way into a Greater Spire and Broodlords. But here comes a big strong push right now for Grubby. He needs to survive this before he can actually work his way into Broodlords, and then Hive Tech's not going to be ready for this. Very Stalker heavy, plus those Colossus. Couple of Phoenixes in there as well. Roaches will be trying to push up from this angle. I'm expecting the force field wall, and there it is. Corruptors move from the other side and losing lots of Roaches because of that force field. Oh, very disappointing. Nerchio saying, nice joke. Force fields so strong, especially on a map like Metalopolis here, where it's very easy to create those wall-offs with even just a small number of sentries, and unfortunately Nerchio really doesn't have much of a chance in this particular position. He cannot push up against that Protoss army with the threat of those force fields, so instead, here comes the counterattack. Roaches Moving to the high yield right now of Grubby. Will be sniping that down, and how is Grubby going to respond? Is he going to keep pushing against Nerchio, or will he try to move to defend his high yield? Looks like that high yield gets taken out. At the same time, Grubby is moving out towards that natural expansion and the main of Nerchio, and right now, look at that, Nerchio pulling back to try to defend himself. This is a very strong push right now. He's going to be in a lot of trouble. We've got Roaches waiting over here to engage. He wants to wait for the sandwich, and there it is. Roaches coming from this direction and from here as well. Corruptor's going straight for those Colossus. He's getting a decent surround, but does he have enough? It does not look like it. The Roach numbers are just not strong enough. The Corruptors are taking out this Colossus, and actually, is he going to overwhelm those Stalkers? Very close right now. We get some Roach reinforcements. Will be helping a bit, but there's so many Stalkers here, and Grubby, Resilient, is still in this right now. 11 Roaches about to pop. Some very nice Blink Stalker micro. We got a couple of workers over here. Stalkers moving over here as well. And the Blink Stalkers are still up and still doing what they can, doing as much damage as possible, sniping down a few of those Corruptors. For once, we do see some more Colossus come into play. And very nice micro here from Grubby, allowing him to stay in the game. Still a couple Stalkers over here, trying to do a little bit of damage. Speedlings finally able to push those Stalkers back. The Stalkers push back right now. We do also have Grubby working his way back up into the high yield. And look at this, a little sneaky expansion over here from Grubby as well, trying to take the expansion on Nerchio's side of the map. We've got a couple Speedlings and Roaches mopping up those Stalkers. We'll be pushing them back and then moving up here, and he should be able to take out that expansion, no problem. Rest of Grubby's forces mobilizing right here in the center of the map. And it looks like he is ready for a secondary push, and this is actually quite dangerous indeed. Grubby sitting at 91 army supply as opposed to just the 61 of Nerchio, and that's a little scary right now. I'm also worried about the tech. We do finally have that Greater Spire tech coming out, but it's a little bit late, and just those Roaches and Speedlings, it doesn't look like he has enough either. And we got a couple High Templar moving down, so we're going to expect those storms, and look at that, Nerchio not even bothering with the GG and just leaving the game. This just goes to show you how abusive force fields can really be, especially on a map that has a lot of relative choke points, very narrow angles here that make for force field walls being incredibly effective. Especially look at this, like pushing up into this high yield expansion. As you saw, the Roaches tried to move in from this direction, and we saw that force field wall over there. It's just so very strong. Even in defense, we saw the force field wall over here allowed Grubby to defend himself against a very strong push of Nerchio. Unfortunately, Nerchio wasn't able to get that tech up quick enough. Had he gotten those Brewlords in play, that would have helped him tremendously against a push, but Grubby, with that excellent time push plus the use of his force fields, was really able to, in taking out that high yield, overwhelm Nerchio and then keep up that push and force the quit, not the GG. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you have enjoyed this commentary. As always, if you like the content, please subscribe. Thanks again, guys. Keep watching and keep owning.